Hey, thanks for joining us today. My name's David. I'm with Scanning Pens. Today I want to just talk about the best setup for your students. And what that means is setting up the pen that works to customize for them, and you can do that with this pen. But what I'm going to show you today is really what I have found, what we have found to be the best way to get ultimate comprehension using the pen, ultimate vocabulary acquisition, and that's what I want to show you today. So this is the Reader Pen 2. Now when you turn this pen on, and I'll show you just a quick step-by-step, this is the on and off, the little button that has the red on it. The menu button is only going to work when you're in Reader and Dictionary. This center is up and down to move the cursor up and down or left and right. And then the center button is your select button. And of course, this will engage the scan when you get ready. So let's turn the pen on. And this pen has been turned on before. If your pen has been, for the first time you're turning it on, it's going to run you right through the wizard, and I'll show you walking through that. But I'm going to turn this pen on, and now you see mine comes right up to the icons. What I'm going to do is scroll to the right, select Settings, open up Settings, and hit Run Wizard. Now you see I can move up and down with my cursor. I can move left and right with my cursor, but I'm going to run the wizard. I select Run the Wizard. Now it takes me right into setting up the pen. If you've done this before, let's do it again just to make sure that you've got it set up to where I believe you're going to have the best results with your students. So I'm going to turn on, the first selection is Select Talking Menu. I'm going to select Silent Menu. Now, you might want to leave that on. Again, this pen is customizable for your student. You may want to leave that on because maybe your student doesn't read English at all, or maybe they're low vision. But what I've found is that in many situations, it just becomes annoying. And I say this all the time is with these kids today, you can give them this pen and they're going to know more about the pen than you do in 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and select Silent Menu. Now there's 3 languages that you can choose from: English, French, and Spanish. And this pen works in all those languages the same way. I'm going to choose English. Then I'm going to choose Scan Language. I'm going to choose English. I'm going to choose American English because that's the dialect. And there are differences in the dialects in the way they spell words and everything else in the different dialects. So let's make sure we choose English. Left-handed, right-handed, again, another place you can customize this pen and really make it useful, make it more convenient and comfortable for your left-handed students. You can choose left-handed or right-handed. I'm going to choose right-handed at this case. Now I'm going to choose my select dictionary language, which is going to be English to English. I have the OPD, which stands for Oxford Primary Dictionary. Then I have the Collins Dictionary, and I also have the New Oxford American Dictionary. So the OPD stands for Oxford Primary Dictionary. It's going to be younger words. If you're working with students over grade 6, I would suggest that maybe you move to the NOAD, which is the New Oxford American Dictionary. The reason you might want to leave it if you've got English language learners that aren't using really advanced words, the OPD also gives a less robust definition. So it can be a little easier for them to understand. But Collins and the New Oxford are pretty robust definitions, and sometimes that can be too much for younger students. I'm going to go ahead and choose NOAD. Now the next one is Set Auto Read. This may be the most important feature on this pen, in my opinion. I want to turn that off. Now it comes turned on when you get it, which means that every time you lift up the pen, it starts reading to you. Now, the problem I have for that with comprehension and vocabulary acquisition, if they become more focused on getting to the next line or where they're at, then they're not going to have that focus of really sitting back and absorbing the passage, absorbing the text. So I'm going to turn that off because I want them to load the text up. So what I suggest with younger students that you work in full sentences. With a little older students, then I would suggest you work in minimum paragraphs. So they load up the paragraph, then they can watch the text, they can listen to the text, they can read along, and then of course the kinesthetic of opening up that or scanning that into the pen itself is a tactile event. So 4 of the 5 modes of learning are being used inside that situation. I think that's powerful, and I think it's really important for your students. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to set speed. I'm going to set that to 5. That really reads about the normal speed. You can adjust the speed with students if they need a slower pace, but I'll show you another way you can do that if they need to be able to absorb those words. But right now, let's set the speed on 5. Now the next is set volume. I'm going to set that to 10. If you see here, you can boost it all the way up to 5. Again, this is a customizable pen, so you can adjust it to some students. I know with autistic kids, the sensitivity to volume can be a very imperative thing, so you want to just set this right for them. But here I'm going to set it to 10 for now. Now this is where I was talking about the next selection is word pause. This is where I was talking about you can adjust this pen to where instead of it reading "the cat ran across the road," with word pause, it can be "the cat ran across." So if you have a student that needs a little more time, something to absorb that word, something to just get a different pace, you can customize that pen here. I like to leave it typically on 0 because usually I want this pen to read as normally as possible. So I'm going to select 0. Now the next is punctuation pause. I'm going to set that on 3. What does punctuation tell us? It's the end of a thought. It's the end of a sentence. It's a question mark. It's an exclamation mark. It gives those students a moment to go, oh, what was said there? What was asked there? And again, this pen can be used for pleasure. It can be used for reading the newspaper, but if we're talking comprehension, if we're talking vocabulary acquisition, then we want them to load this pen up, watch it, read along, have it read to us. That kinesthetic event of loading it up, all those are part of the learning modes, and all those enhance comprehension, enhance vocabulary acquisition, and that's what we want to do. So I'm going to set the pen to 3. Now it says the wizard is finished. And now you have a pen that I believe is set up for best use for your students. If I hit this red button, it's going to take me back to my features. I've got reader, dictionary, recorder, library, practice, and settings on the pen. And we can go into different features. We do a training with this pen that I really highly recommend. If you need to sign up for a trial, you can do that at www.scanningpens.com. And right in there, you can find a registration to do a trial. Give us a call and we'll help you walk through this. In customers that have used the training, it's almost night and day on their success of the pen. And the more you invest in this pen, the more you're going to get out of this pen. So I really highly recommend that you take some time to have us walk through the features with you, either by video or with us personally. Thank you so much for joining us. I believe your pen is now set up for best use with your students.